Hi everyone, welcome back to the Classics Admitted podcast. This is the third installment of our roundtable series and our season finale, right? So very exciting. We invited 5 Townsend Harris students who will be attending Yale University in the fall as part of the class of 2027.
Welcome to the season finale of Admitted,
the Yale Student Roundtable.
Hi, I'm Nowyshin Mridula, and I got into Yale through QuestBridge match.
Hi, my name is Devin. I got into Yale through Common App, and I applied Restrictive Early Action.
Hi, I'm Scarlet. I also applied through Yale through Restrictive Early Action.
Hi, I'm Riya. I applied to Yale through QuestBridge College Map.
Hi, I'm Heath. I also applied through Common App through Restrictive Early Access.
So congratulations to all of you. And to start us off, Scarlet will read their Common App essay.
Great, so I'll begin. It was a slip of the tongue. On the phone with my mother, a woman who lives by the book, I accidentally confessed that I'd participated in a sit-in at school. I had to hold the phone away from me so she wouldn't scream in my ear. After her voice returned to its usual volume, she asked, ¿Por qué? A simple question, really, but not for me. I felt as if I was a defendant on the stand, not wanting to ruin the image my mother had of me, her soft-spoken daughter. My mind began to twist and turn, searching for the words in Spanish to describe it to her, but nothing appeared. The only image I could conjure was the butterfly pin she gave me years earlier. I want to be like Las Mariposas. Las Mariposas, the butterflies, were the Mirabal sisters, Minerva, Maria Teresa, and Patria, who formed an underground movement 14th of June to overthrow the dictatorship of Rafael Trujillo in the Dominican Republic during the 1950s. When I was a child, I visited the Mirabal home in Ojo de Agua with my family. With my right hand tucked in my mother's arm, I walked through the small house, noticing the outdoor statues, the pots and pans in the kitchen, and the white and black photographs hung on the walls, one of 3 young women. My mother's eyes shone with admiration as she reverently explained Las Mariposas' story. Back home in New York City, the butterfly pin my mother received at the museum found a permanent spot on my jean jacket. To me, the pin cried, "Look at me! I come from a nation where 3 sisters toppled a dictatorship with the power of courage, faith, and heart." My mother saw me as a sweet, shy child. I was like a ballerina music box. Once you lift the lid, a soft melody plays. I preferred the silence piece that came with my imagination, watching cartoons on TV, flipping through picture books, and conversing with my dolls. Later, this imagination became a way for me to distract myself from my parents' divorce, custody battles, economic hardships, and the tears that streaked down my mother's face. But as I grew older, the shell I hid under could no longer protect me from the injustices that plagued the world. I began to dream of a better world and life for those I cared for, and realized that I could no longer stay quiet. I had to make noise. I had to incite change. I had to be like Las Mariposas. After our discussion on the phone, reunited with my mother, I pleaded my case. She realized that this sweet music box melody she once heard had become a beautiful battle cry. She understood I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless and wouldn't give up without a fight. With the green light from my mother, I took on a more active role in my social justice council, pushing to implement our projects in my school. 6 months later, I presented to 22 students the process of voter pre-registration. After I finished my presentation, I asked who wanted to pre-register. Only 3 students raised their hands. My shoulders dropped in exasperation. Taking a breath and regaining the confidence I previously lost, I thought of Las Mariposas and the power of courage, faith, and heart. Look at where you are right now, I urged the class. People have fought, protested, been arrested, starved, even died, so that each of us could have the right to be represented in this government. I asked the class who wanted to pre-register. Like a wave, everyone's hands were raised. With my head held high, I felt a sense of pride spread through my chest. I knew that this is what I wanted to do. It was at that moment I realized I'd become a butterfly.
That was really beautiful. I really liked how, there was definitely, when you read your essay, I was able to follow along very well. It was engaging for me to listen to. And, I liked how you tied it to, number one, history, and also how that history ties to you and your family and also your culture. I really felt like you were able to show yourself in the essay, and, it was authentic. So I really enjoyed listening to your essay.
I liked how multidimensional it was. Like, you had your culture, you had your blossoming sense of self, where you came from. I like the ballerina reference a lot too, where it's your soft melody now turned to a battle cry. That line really sung true to me, because you used to be this person, but you're still the same person, just doing a different thing, and I really appreciated that. And you had a lot of different things going on in your essay, but I was never lost. I knew what you were saying the entire time.
Yeah, I also liked how you connected it to like what you did like to like show that like in the current with your voter pre-registration, and it wasn't just like that you did it, but you also showed how you overcame the challenge within that. Like it still like didn't come easy, and you still had to like fight for that.
I think I also like how you use the pin, the butterfly pin, for like an object that you like to kind of show us what you're thinking. I did something like that, and I felt like you did like really well. That you expanded so much, as Kay said, it's multidimensional. So I really liked it.
I feel like my essay was kind of similar to yours because I'm also Dominican, so I use that as like I would say starting off point. Like I started by talking about my dad and like how Sunday morning breakfast is like a staple in my family, and how through that breakfast I kind of expanded my thoughts on like the world and science. So I feel like mine is a little similar to yours in that sense, how I use my culture as like a starting off point, and then I took the essay in a different direction ish, but then connected it in the end of it with like the last line or two. Like yours, I think your last line was like I'm a butterfly now, and mine kind of related back to the breakfast I had with my dad. So I feel like culture was also intertwined a lot in my essay.
I took a different approach. As I said before, I used an object. So I used the toolbox, which I'm interested in mechanical engineering. So, and I kind of started out with just describing my toolbox, how people might not think that it's a precious thing because it's like everyone has it in their house. But I expanded how each tool is reflective of myself. Like I tie hammer to my experience when I was a little kid, and my grandpa taught me like kind of raise this fire in me for building. And then I go on to different parts of it, like Allen keys with robotics, and then I end with expanding it more to different lives. Like I struggled using hammer, so I tied with how I also struggled to stretch in my dancing, and I connected to different parts of my life, but also coming back to this personal toolbox that I want to expand in whatever college I go to.
It's really interesting. I liked how you use sort of these analogies in your essay, because I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't do, and it really makes for really unique and sort of, like I said again, I like using this word, but authentic. It's something that speaks to you. And for me, with my Common App essay, what I decided to do was sort of, because it was a process for me to sort of settle on a topic, and it took a very long time. I didn't really start writing the official first draft of my essay until after summer, which is something that I definitely don't advise the viewers to do. Please start over the summer. But what I would say is that if you're comfortable with the topic, then you should be able to write about it. It shouldn't be a struggle for you to write 650 words on a topic, especially if it's something that means a lot to you.
So we're gonna transition into supplemental essays. So right now Riya is gonna read her QuestBridge.
I chose option 1 on the QuestBridge application. It's the 500-word supplement, and it's tell us about a concept, theory, or topic you've explored simply because it sparked your intellectual curiosity. Why do you find it intriguing? How do you want to explore it further? Okay. Is the game really over? The words at the end of Mr. Lemoncella's library taunted me. The fictional world of Alexandriaville with the latest gadgets and gizmos came to a close, leaving one puzzle behind. I couldn't resist it. There, I found myself sitting at my desk assessing a rebus puzzle. Following an iteration of deletions and replacements, I found myself at another clue. After locating the first letter of each chapter, I came to an answer. Those who knew where to look have now solved every puzzle in the book. I looked at my finished product, my masterpiece. These frustrating endeavors were commonplace in my free time. As a child, I would sprawl myself on the floor surrounded by oddly cut puzzles, satisfaction arising from each completed conundrum. Likewise to the ciphers I was so enthralled in. These puzzles translated to real life. If my phone fell, my battery would pop out. Assembling it together was like a two-piece puzzle. Still, I was yet to be introduced to my greatest puzzle yet, code. As I sat in the chilly 8th grade computer lab and opened the Hour of Code website, I was presented with block-based programming where I embarked on the invigorating task of making Elsa spin in concentric circles. The little blocks clicked together like the pieces of a grand jigsaw puzzle. Yet I thought, how impractical, who needed a miniature Elsa spinning on their screen? But then I got home and I saw Candy Crush on my parents' phone and the Kindle being run by different coding languages, all a piece to a larger puzzle. I finally connected the computational to the practical. In fact, the reason I made it home was because of an algorithm. I was the robot and the Google Maps was my program. Code was not just made for figure skating princesses, but for the recreational and practicality of life. The computer languages of HTML, CSS, and Java are used throughout the internet, speaking to the utility of websites. At Girls Who Code, it became a puzzle to connect the HTML foundation to the CSS component of design and program its functionality with Java. The result, a jigsaw of code that pieces together for an informative and functional website on the topic of women empowerment. Entering the recreational domain, I stumbled upon Code with Clossie's app development program. A new puzzle to learn, Swift. This language for iOS app development was harder than a 1,000-piece puzzle. I had to connect the user interface to the corresponding code, a strenuous task that I could not wrap my mind around. But after many ordeals and many consultations with my team, we finally had a functional stress reduction app, the product of a lot of teamwork and puzzle solving. All those devices and applications are crafted with these fundamental pieces of code. At college, I hope to be a piece to a larger puzzle, one focused on the innovation of computer science.
That's really good.
Thank you.
So detailed, but like the terms you used was like both part of like the Java system, but also like anyone can understand. Like I have like very minimum experience with coding, but even like the question you had, like how will it be useful in real life? That's the first question I had when I was learning it. So I liked how you kind of introduced the people who are not interested in that field, intrigued into your essay.
I liked how you made the connection of like you were the robot to the Google Maps. I was like, oh, that's such like an interesting way of thinking about it, because like you think of code as like in your computer, like not really used in terms of like everyday life. Like I know it's used in like programs that we run, but like how you were actually relating it to your everyday life and how you use this like kind of practical idea on like a computer or like a machine to like you. I did a lot.
I definitely agree, and I feel like this is something that Scarlet and also Riya, I noticed in both of their essays. It's that just as you're reading it, both through print and also through hearing, you can just hear how well it flows and how like the transitions are basically seamless. And that's something that I noticed Riya and also Scarlet, they do phenomenally well. And for the reader, while they're reading it, like I feel like making sure, number one, it makes sense, and number two, that your writing isn't choppy, that it's smooth throughout, and you can tell there's a point A and there's a point B at the end. I feel like that's really important, especially when you're thinking about, writing college essays, and especially supplements when you have, less space to work with. Just making sure you get that point across and that you're able to fit all these small nuances that are personal to you, but also, that you want to include because, you want to, number one, also engage the reader because you don't want to bore them as well. I feel like that's something that Riya did exceptionally well, and I'm a very big fan, so it's very good.
Thanks.
Also, this episode's kind of been like a lot of advice, but like in terms of like both of your works, I feel like the Common App is a really great place to incorporate a lot of different things about yourself before they even begin the supplement, reading the supplements. So you incorporate so much about yourself. Like I learned so much about you in a very, I would say, relatively small portion, but supplements are definitely shorter. So I feel like focusing on one specific idea and incorporating everything you feel about that one idea, like coding, is definitely important for your supplement. So taking more of a multidimensional approach to your Common App and more of a one-dimensional approach to your subs, I think is a good idea for those applying.
So Riya's supplement focused a lot on coding, and she used an extracurricular, Girls Who Code, as sort of an example to get more detail. Can you all talk about the extracurriculars that you were involved in a lot during your high school careers that maybe helped earn your acceptances?
Okay, I did a lot of community service, and I think that's something Yale really values, like giving back to like your communities. So like at school, I was president of Nobody Left Behind, and we worked with students with autism spectrum disorders. And then I also went, I would volunteer at my old middle school's debate team a lot, like as like their assistant coach. So those were like two of the big things that I really focused on, and like I went into them in my other supplements a lot. And I think like those really helped me get into Yale.
Okay. I spoke about 2 extracurriculars. One, in my Common App, I spoke about my internship at Weill Cornell Medicine, and I feel that helped incorporate my biology field, but also, like Riya said, they love to hear about your community service. So for my last supplement for Yale, I think it was how did you give back to a community that meant a lot to you? I spoke about my internship at a nonprofit in a community where my dad grew up and my mom currently works. So it kind of brought that back to how my community, I gave back to my community, and I definitely love hearing that.
Yeah, mine also focus on community. So QuestBridge has a lot of questions, so I don't know how much I went in, but I definitely talked about my engagement in multiple nonprofits. So one of the big one was I'm also going to minor a certificate in women's studies. So one of my nonprofit was 2 summers where I kind of collected donation to give back to orphans in Bangladesh. So I am here, but I was born in Bangladesh, so I want to give back to my origins. It's also important that you connect back to your roots, and it doesn't have to be connected to your direct major or what you intend to do, because you might change it, and it's okay to explore. So don't really box yourself into just one path. So keep it open and just talk about it, even if it doesn't connect.
For me, I didn't really write about it in my essays, but something I realized, especially during my interview, was just how important these extracurriculars are in, number one, shaping you to the person who you are, and also sort of telling a story to the interviewer and also the person who's reading your essays if you do decide to write about them. So when I was getting interviewed by my interviewer, this was over Zoom. I talked about Model UN and how that sort of helped me gain self-confidence in public speaking and sort of being able to work with others to address political issues and also global problems that pertain to us. So I feel like that's something that I really highlighted during my interview. I didn't really talk about it during my supplements, but again, it's up to you on what you decide to write about. I also talked about my love for geography and how that translated to Geodudes, which is Townsend Harris High School's a geography club. It's a very niche club. We don't have many members, but I really loved the community we built and how it really helped me sort of find a love and a community for my passions, even though they might not be as popular as I don't know. The classic. Shout out the classic.
Yeah, just quickly adding on to that, I think it matters more how you talk about the stuff you did, what it means to you and what you've learned from those things, than just doing them and not really elaborating on them, because colleges want to see what you've taken away from it and see you as a person. And yeah, you can list the tasks you did or whatever, but that's not really going to show your personality and who you are.
Yeah, I agree. So I also kind of did what Devin did. I really didn't talk a lot about my extracurriculars in my Common App, in the writing portion, of course, because I don't know if this is a tip or a strategy I kind of did was I decided to kind of make I sort of thought of my application like a whole circle pie, whatever. So I wanted to use a Common App to show qualities of myself or my many parts of myself. You already read my Common App, so I already read that. But for one of my supplements, I try to incorporate I included my work for AP research and my culture again, and then I wrote some things more about, I think, my culture, but also my love for literature or whatever. But some extracurriculars I did mention in my interview was I'm part of this college bound program called Legal Outreach, and there's lots of programs within it, but specifically a constitutional debate. And most importantly for me was I'm a part of the Civic Engagement and Social Justice Council, and I think my work that I did there shaped me as a person a lot. So I talked a lot about that and how it was a big impact for me. Yeah.
I think in terms of tips, it's important that your Common App tells a theme. I know a lot of juniors are saying how they want to go into business, but they've only done stuff in I don't know, community service. I think it's important that whatever you have on your Common App, it kind of relates back to either what you apply as or what you kind of want to go into, at least for your application. I'm not saying you should just apply for community service if you don't want to do that, but your theme should be consistent. If you want to go into you were saying mechanical engineering, your toolbox, that makes so much sense. It kind of goes into everything. So I think definitely try to tell a story with all of your essays and your extracurriculars.
Okay.
We're going to transition into another supplemental essay, so Devin is going to.
All right, so the topic or prompt that was given to me was tell us a topic or idea that excites you and is related to one or more academic areas you selected above. Like I said, I chose political science as one of the academic areas, and it asked, why are you drawn to it? So let's proceed. I can still remember the day my father bought my first atlas. Coming home after school, I'd spend hours examining each individual page, tracking down landmarks, and mentally documenting every country's capital. In many ways, maps can be representative of people. Converting the Earth's spherical shape into a two-dimensional map comes at the sacrifice of many cartographic variables, including discrepancies in relative size, the distortion of Earth's land masses. As a result, no two maps are ever the same, just as individuals can differ in religion, language, and beliefs. My love for geography has naturally translated into a passion for the social sciences. I have discovered the fascinating phenomena of gerrymandering and human migration, nurturing my growing interest in exploring the mechanisms by which governments operate. I have even dabbled in mock political campaigning, managing a bipartisan super PAC in my high school election simulation. As my understanding of politics becomes more nuanced, I'd love to take Political Science 357A and dive into the intricacies of China's foreign policy, in addition to other courses that examine fundamental concepts with far-reaching implications. Yale's Department of Political Science offers an immersive environment and close-knit community, providing a home for my ongoing intellectual development.
Yes. So what I really liked about your supplement, really good by the way, was that like a good tip for lots of supplements, it's the synergy. So like you show like your interest for this major, for this topic, but you also show how you kind of applied it in high school and how you plan on connecting that to Yale, or how Yale kind of relates, or how you guys connect together. And I think that's really important for supplements. You gotta show how you fit into the school, because not only is it easier for the admissions officer to be like, yeah, I can see you have a place here, but it just creates a good supplement overall. And yeah.
Basically, I think one of the best advice I was given is a lot of these schools pick who they think is going to be the best fit for their school. So in your supplements, you should definitely show why you would fit well in that school. Like Devin, you were saying how you want to take that course. That's a really good example of like how you would fit into their school by saying, oh, I want to take this course. I know what I want to do already at your school if I get in when I get in.
Yes, also the specific, but being specific like Devin did was really good, because it's like you could just literally like, colleges don't want to read, well, no, sometimes don't write supplements that you could literally change the school name and be like, this great school's, because also you don't want to accidentally like send the wrong names, because that's going to be a whole issue. But yeah, make it specific enough, because it shows that you did your research, that you actually really want to go to the school.
Yeah, I think it also shows like your interest for the school and you're not just applying. Like that. Well, they also want to choose people who they think will actually like accept their offer of admission.
Yeah, exactly.
So you want to actually look very like interested and like engaged with the school. But another piece of advice I'd give, especially for QuestBridge applicants, is specifically for Yale, you only get 2 supplements directed towards Yale. So really make those count, because you don't have a lot of space to show like why you fit at Yale and like why you really want to go there. So I know like for me personally, I talked a lot about like the stuff I would end up doing at Yale, like classes I'd take or like programs I'd join, that kind of related back to like my Common App, like with like service and all of that. I looked at like coding programs that like looked into service like within the New Haven communities and stuff, and that goes back to like Kate's point of like there should be like a constant theme within like your whole entire application, not just like one essay.
I think one of my advices for everyone applying restrictive early admission is doing something like Devin did, except we have this prompt where it's like, why Yale? I think that's like the only prompt. So it's like you have to show like your why. So I think that step is one of the most important things you can like nail. Like if you nail that, like I'm not gonna say you're gonna get in, but like if you nail that, it looks really good. Yeah. So definitely try to incorporate throughout all of your steps like why you would fit in at Yale, but that one step is really important. So like know why you chose that school.
I actually want to expand on the why one. So I did the same one. So there my theme overall was mechanical engineering and women's studies, and I was persistent throughout both QuestBridge and the Yale. So it was actually hard for me to order the Yale one, because if you're matched, you cannot say no. So that's why it was hard for me to, and that's why I chose Yale. I showed them why, because it's not just why you want to go there. not just why they should choose you, but why you want to go there. So it's important that your Common App not Common App, like whatever application you're doing is matching, because for my supplements, as Riya said, there's only 2. For one of them, I showed my other side that I didn't show in other parts, and always reveal something new. Don't just say the same thing, because then you're just repeating. For the last one, why? I connected everything in my application. So I did modeling, I did acting, I did all that, and how it connects there, what I'll do in Yale. I know it's a lot of stuff, but it should make sense. By itself, it doesn't make sense. But if they read the whole application, it makes sense. It talks about me. So just talk about yourself and don't care about word limit. Okay? My word limit was like 201 was like 500, and I condensed it so much. And every word counts. So don't just say whatever. And last thing. If you make a mistake, it's okay. Because one of the club I wanted to do is the laboratory, but it auto-corrected to the laboratory. Don't freak out. I got accepted, okay? So.
And we are back, and I think that wraps it up for both this episode and this season of Admitted. So it is my first and last season doing Admitted, and I just want to say it has been an honor to be a host of this podcast. I love doing it. I want to thank my co-host Katherine. Thank you so much, for being here through all the episodes, both with Kate and with me as hosts. And thank you to Riya Young, our producer, our editor.
Thank you, Elliot. I'm so grateful to have such an amazing co-host for this season. He will be attending Columbia University in the fall, so congratulations. And I'm a junior right now, so I'll see you next year.
I'm also a junior, and I'll be continuing with that. Remember to subscribe to the Classic TV, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. You have to say bye too.